Hey guys, it's Rachel Castile and welcome to Typology Corner. Today I'm doing an overview video on the ENFJ personality type. I'm going to be covering it from the perspective of objective personality, which will be the standard Myers-Briggs FE-NI type. And then I'm also going to break down what it looks like to be a jumper type, which is FE and SE as savior functions. So the cognitive functions of the ENFJ is FE, NI, SE, and then TI. So dominantly, their main gift is being very attuned to people. To the tribe is a term used in objective personality, and it's just the community connection is like the main human need that they are attuned to. So they are deciders, and they're making decisions on the values of people around them. They're very attuned to what people like and dislike. Also, just like the emotional states of people around them. And they are inclined to want to make people happy, to create connection in the moment, and just honoring what other people value, really. So just emotionally, they are kind of connecting positive emotions and raising the emotional morale of the room. They're very attuned to basically if someone in the room is more down, they're inclined to go over and kind of lift that person up. Or if someone's kind of disconnected from the group, going and like reconnecting them and kind of looking at like the holistic connection of whatever group they're attuned to. It could be the room that they're in that moment. It could be the whole family. It could be them looking at their marriage or, yeah, their family, their communities. It could be where they work, or extroverted feeling can be attuned to all of society. It's what does society value? What are the trends right now? What are people valuing in this time that I'm in? Or yeah, it's valuing connection and staying in touch with others. And it can be like somewhat harmony seeking, wanting people to get along. Yeah. It causes them to be somewhat validation seeking, as in like they're making decisions on what other people kind of what society gives a thumbs up to, in a sense. So it can be it can cause them to be validation seeking, to want feedback from other people, to somewhat stay congruent with what is valuable in their like group, or meeting the needs of other people too is an aspect of it. But yeah, this is the dominant function of this type. So they are more in touch with what's going on around them than being an extrovert. Extroverted feeling is oriented towards other people. It's not the self. So leading with this process just causes them to be attuned to the needs of people around them. It could be their coworkers. It could be anybody. They just have a natural affinity, or they're just attuned to others more so than the self. So yeah, that's kind of leading the ship. And then the functions that are aiding that process, they have introverted intuition, then extroverted sensing, and lastly that extrovert or introverted thinking. So introverted intuition in the ENFJ makes them just attuned to the patterns of the people in their life. They naturally see just kind of what's going on a deeper level with people. They can kind of pick up on the underlying kind of inner workings of people. They can read people really well. When you combine that extroverted feeling awareness of other people's emotional states, they even kind of take on the emotions of people around them, and combining that with the introverted intuition of noticing the patterns that or just other people's behavior, their ways, in a sense. Whenever introverted intuition is paired with extroverted feeling, there's just a deeper awareness of the human soul to some degree. They can see where people are at and are, making decisions with that information aiding them. Introverted intuition is like organizing patterns. It's noticing patterns, organizing it, refining it more and more, coming to like a deeper truth around what's going on. It's kind of the subconscious knowings that they have that emerge from just the experiences they've had with people, the experiences of just living and observing life, being with other people. Um, excuse me. Um, so yeah, introverted intuition for them, it's just being in tune with people even more. I guess the way to say it. They are very inquisitive about people, and they're somewhat developing and noticing the narratives of people's stories a bit, seeing the deeper kind of, um, I call it patterns. The best way to say it, it's like seeing cause and effect, seeing how all these things add up, seeing, um, yeah, it's people focused because again, this function is aiding the people focused dominant process. So your standard ENFJ is just attuned to people and um, are just aware of where people kind of land, um, how they'll react to things based on what they've picked up about people. And they're still honoring those knowings they have in the way that they serve. They're being informed by what they have just assimilated and noticed about, like, hey, this would fly with this person and this wouldn't. This would make this person mad. This would really make this person happy. This person has these tendencies. Um, the more they're around you, the more their patterns gets like more crystallized in a sense of kind of knowing the ways of people. They um, they use this information to kind of bring people together even more, or they know how to be a good friend to people. And being attuned to this type of information, they can kind of bring the best out of people in knowing, where people are starting from, where uh, they kind of honor the patterns that they've seen and accommodate people based on that. They're not inclined to want to kind of create conflict or to rustle feathers with what they're seeing, but kind of moving around it and working with it. And they just kind of have knowings. It's like, I know this about this person. I don't, maybe I can't put it into words. They're more so tracking the pattern that they're seeing and then approaching people based on it, serving people based on it. Um, this intuition dominance sort of thing in them, this introverted intuition can kind of cause them to be counselor like, giving advice out of this knowings. Um, what else to say? So this is me exploring it from the perspective of like the main or the standard MBTI sort of understanding. So yeah, just to give you a picture, this is our standard ENFJ using FE and NI. So the main decider, their main observer. And then our jumper type down here is more attuned to extroverted sensing and is jumping the introverted intuition process I've just been describing. And it's more of a demon for them. And this type is more of a gatherer, not as attuned to the patterns, really refining those patterns, but is more extroverted, jumping out there, looking for new experiences, being more in the moment, taking in the new, not trusting the old as much. So, yeah, but still, ultimately, both of these types are out there in their tribe, in their community, connecting with people, loving to be a part of what's going on. this type having this extroverted sensing in both of these types makes them very like in the moment, enjoying it to some degree. Our more NI savior type will be more of an introverted ENFJ who's more attuned to the patterns, organizing the patterns that they're seeing in the world, that they're seeing in people. It could be society too. So they could look at humanity as a whole. You can see it just depends on what they're focused on, what they feel somewhat called to serve mainly. But if it's society, they're seeing the patterns of society. They're seeing how things are functioning in the world. They're seeing the patterns of humanity. They're seeing the ways of people on different scales, and letting that information it like inform them. It's a bit of a wisdom that they're using to then go and serve the tribe in some sort of way. They could want to encourage the tribe to go a certain way based on the intuition, and more of like using that organized information to then lead with it. So this would be a more judging oriented, decisive person making decisions off of what they've seen to then, lead an organization, lead society. It could be leading the family based on the pattern seen, things like that. ENFJs can find themselves in lots of different states of using these functions. But yeah, I'll continue to explore talking about the standard type. So what does SE look like in a demon sort of state for the standard type? The SE will serve the NI patterns mainly. That they will gather, but not gathering won't be trumping the patterns that they're seeing. It's just they'll gather beyond that and kind of take in information. SE is being attuned to taking in brand new experiences, things you've never encountered before, being in the moment, enjoying being in the moment, reading something new that you haven't heard before, just taking in new factual information, new experiences. So another aspect of the high NI type, they have a high planning orientation. So the ENFJ with Savior NI is looking at the patterns, and it's causing them to choose a desired future. So having an awareness of all of the things that they're seeing, they then are choosing a desired outcome that they want. So this is a high planning type. They could be known to plan their whole next year, plan their future, plan where they want to go, and really stay true to that NI goal of what's wanted. It's NI is related to the will, so knowing what you want and narrowing that down to a particular thing, and looking to the future, ordering the future, and walking toward that particular future, and taking in new SE things that still serves that future. So there's a high planning orientation. They are not as in the moment in that way. Like they're always going to be in their tribe, serving their community, being with people, being connected to their friend group, looking out for their friends, things of that nature. These people are highly connected in society. That's what they value most, is being connected. And the NI is really telling them, it's informing their decisions and what they do with society. This type is kind of inclined to be, they could a life planner. They might want to be a wedding planner. They might, use this NI function, this gift of planning, to bring that forward in planning other people's lives in the way that they show up for people. It's helping other people plan, is a gift that they can do very easily. It's something they feel responsible for, is knowing the plan. Where are we going? Where are we headed next? What are we organizing for the group? So they can be inclined to be organizing the functions, organizing the future connections of their friends, keeping events on the calendar that fosters connection within their community. This could be beneficial in a career, right? Somebody of an ENFJ personality type could really be overseeing the future events, the things we're going to set out to do, the functions, the fundraisers we're going to put on next year, next 5 years. They this NI gift can be used, again, serving the collective is how it kind of shows up in the ENFJ. The SE can have them attuned to like the trends combined. So when you're combining the SE with the FE, it's knowing what society deems popular in the now. What is trendy right now? What is going on in the market right now? They can love wearing clothes that's in with the trends. Being kind of current in that sense. Their extroverted awareness is in these areas. The FE is really gathering in all of the feedback of society. They're attuned to what other people like, and it's current. It's present moment, being in the midst of things now. That's what that SE kind of functions like for them in our standard type. And they're planning according to that. They're creating plans for the future. They could be trendsetters in that way. Got a little gnat in my office right now. But yeah, so yeah, that's those middle functions there. And I'm going to get into TI, but I'm going to kind of skip that right now because TI is that common blind spot or growth path for the standard and the jumper ENFJ. So I'm going to approach that more so that is something that's true for the both of these types. But so that's a pretty good overview of what it looks like to, be the standard type. So what does that look like in our jumper? Our jumper type, again, is more extroverted. They are not tracking the patterns as much. They have less of a planning orientation in that way. They are more out in the moment with people right now, enjoying the current, what's going on. They really just enjoy the spontaneity of the moment, taking in new information, getting away from the tried and true patterns in a sense that they've seen, that they've picked up on. They're not as focused on organizing those and are more extroverted. They're more just in the moment, loving the feels, loving the emotion of being with the tribe, being out there, kind of more spontaneous, I think is a good way to describe them. They really still have that connection orientation of that dominant extroverted feeling and creating positive emotions with people, positive connections, lifting the emotional morale in the room, and kind of changing the atmosphere. Lifting people up is still something that they value strongly. And it's more about that for them. It's more being in the moment, having a good laugh, poking fun, kind of getting the reactions out of people. That extroverted sensing is more about the new information that they're about to get in the moment from people, and letting that new information inform them. So they're more open to what's happening in the now, and they're going to be more in touch with the trend and less in touch with what they particularly want and a particular future they're trying to bring about. They're less in touch with that. The NI is a little more fuzzy. It's a little less trusted in the moment. Whenever kind of the pressure's on, they jump back out into gathering. So this is more of a P-like ENFJ. Again, I don't call them ENFPs because that would change the functions altogether. But this is a more gathering jumper version of the ENFJ. They are just a bit more in the moment, a bit more present with people. And they're not as trusting of the pattern alone. They're looking for more evidence, more factual, concrete things in the world. They're going to kind of lock on to the concrete over the abstract pattern alone without much proof of the pattern. They're going to want to go out and prove their patterns with facts a bit more before really trusting their pattern. So they have a higher inclination to look for the concrete, look for the factual, be in the moment, get actual feedback from people that's not just trusting the knowing that kind of bubbles up in the information. They want proof. They are more proof oriented, which proof is external. It's not internal. So it sends them extrovertedly more. And then they can say, oh, I've collected enough data, enough proof to trust my pattern. As opposed to the standard ENFJ is just seeing their patterns, living by their patterns, seeing what's going on behind something and trusting it, living by it, or less inclined to doubt it. They're just like, hey, my intuition has proven true. Throughout my whole life, these patterns, I'm attuned to the patterns. They get more and more refined and they are proven true. So I trust them. Your standard type might get a little annoyed when you push on them for the details because that's not the realm that they're living in as much. It's like, I'm guided by what I know. I'm guided by what I see. And this is true to me. I just kind of have a knowing about this and I might not be able to put into words or might not even want to put into words all the, detail connected to it. That this gnat is literally trying to land on my face right now. But yeah, not as inclined to bring forward the proof or look for tons of proof. But kind of know what they want, kind of know what they've seen. It's a perception function. So it is a form of perception. It's like I've organized the patterns. The patterns is more meaningful to me and I trust it. So again, just to say, these are dominant decider types, which have the gift of double observation. And the double observation is the NI and the SE in the middle. So though one is a savior and one's a demon, they still see them both. They're kind of balanced in that. They're not going to have huge freakouts around this. They can kind of see both, but have a preference towards one of the two. But like the greater life imbalance is the TI. So I talked about it a bit in the beginning, but what that looks like, TI is their personal truths. It is their personal it's an identity process. So it's what the self is. It's something that makes sense for me, apart from the collective, apart from society and what everyone likes and my whole peer group, my whole whatever, them seeing the spectrum of other people. It's very easy for them to somewhat compare themselves or to keep up with society. So breaking away from societal norms in some way in favor of like something that's just personal to them, their personal truths, their personal beliefs, their personal ideas, the things that are just something that defines them apart from everybody else. It can be a bit uncomfortable for them to even take time to go there, to live true to that in at the expense of connection with people around them. That's like the biggest thing that both of these ENFJs are going to kind of deal with. This is a common thing for EJ types, these leader types that lead on behalf of the whole tribe and being connected with the tribe, keeping the tribe connected, meeting the needs of society, all of this sort of, these leadership qualities that's in them. It can be difficult for them to step away, to define the self a bit more and know where they stand on something and to start to live according to that, to bring that forward in the way that they do lead or in the way they do relate with other people, that they, define the self without having to justify it to the group. To bring the self forward a bit more is difficult for them, but it's it's their greatest path of growth. This is where they start to find real health and balance in their life. It's going to feel uncomfortable to take time in their TI, and they're going to feel the connection kind of going down a bit, or they're going to fear losing connection with society by doing something that no one else is doing, by doing something that's different from whatever group they have been accustomed to receiving feedback from, getting validation from, staying connected with, accommodating and meeting the needs of other people. They can kind of burn themselves out on others and not take time for the self, or kind of fear presenting something that has really changed about them, and that does make them feel somewhat disconnected from their community because their belief has changed in some way, something that they've sorted out in their own introspection away from the collective, that is really starting to become like a true identifying trait about them in some way. As they present that to the group or live by it, incorporate it into their life, it can be difficult for them to go against the feedback they're getting. But that's what balance is for our ENFJ, is to embrace their individuality and not consider that time spent in developing the self as selfish. That's just something that is health for them, is to find that balance between the self and the tribe, and to allow the connection level to change that they were used to. When you're fully accommodating, when you're fully thinking of others first, when you're fully building patterns on other people and how to serve them, or wanting to stay out there in the extroverted world as our jumper type and just being in the moment with people, being a good friend to people, being everyone's kind of best friend in that sense. Whenever you're that attuned to people, you really can be very good to them. You're more aware of them than you are of the self. But yeah, becoming aware of the self, kind of pulling away, allowing connection to balance out that you're yourself always. You're communicating your truths. You're letting the identity really emerge in your peer group, that people can start to notice you have identifying qualities that are different than them, and you've owned those enough that other people can see them, that it's not this hidden thing, and you're still a part of society, you're still there, and that could be your family, where you're serving people but not at the expense of you. You're giving of yourself but not too much. You're saying, hey, I need time alone. Hey, I need to not be a part of this thing. I need to not lead this thing for y'all. I need to just show up and be there and not totally organize the whole thing for you or something like that. Whenever they've been used to being there for people at such a high level, can be like, oh, so and so's pulling back from us a bit. And it's like, you can feel that a bit, that change, but that's positive change for your type. That you find a balance between self and tribe, and start to define your own beliefs and not just what other people believe. And yeah, it'll be a very empowering journey for you the more you step into that, and you'll become like a holistic, balanced person. Yeah, it's just an adjustment. It's uncomfortable. It's not something as a dominant extroverted decider you're inclined to do, but as you're able to pull away in your own way and to represent those things as your patterns change, because you'll be noticing patterns that'll cause you to maybe split away from tradition, split away from what your upbringing taught you, or yeah, the more you are gathering in new things as you go out and take in through that SE, new experiences, your patterns are going to adjust because of it's being informed by new things. Just looking back at the charts a bit, what growth looks like for the two types. Our NI type will grow by gathering in new, and that will start to inform the patterns. Excuse me. And it will expand the conclusions that NI has come to the more it encounters more real world things as it goes out and gathers things that is not in the NI box. This type will start to grow. They'll start to plan differently. They'll start to organize differently. They'll start to want to lead their peer groups in a different way. They'll want their influence will change. And yeah, it's really good to branch out for the standard ENFJ to gather more and not just fully reproduce what NI patterns have told them alone, but find something that can give NI new things to ponder on, new things to assimilate and organize. And the more refined this gets when it's been taking in new experiences, you'll serve the tribe in a different way. You'll start to develop your own inner, logic, your own reasonings, your own understandings, your own beliefs and truths. The more you can go out and gather and kind of break off a bit from being so tethered to the connection of the tribe, enough to gather things that the more you can, it's kind of making that FE it's uncomfortable. The more you can access the TI, the more the patterns can start to adjust. And then you can become the fuller person that's not only organizing patterns, but is gathering too. And it's not only focused on connection, but it's focused on the identity, the self. You get this holistic growth as a person, and then our growth path for our jumper type, this SE is default for them to always go back out and gather in new, being in the moment, being aware of the trends, being aware of what's going on, taking in new factual information, getting more proof, and not trusting the pattern as much. This type is much more extroverted than the more ambivert kind of ENFJ. And growth for them is to take time to develop the patterns, to trust the patterns more, to allow themselves to live according to what they've already gathered, noticed in life, and to incorporate that and to not always think like, no, I can't trust it. And also still that kind of breaking from the connection a bit, the addiction of connection. And to let themselves feel that kind of coming down a bit so that they can get in touch with the TI, their own understandings, and to live true to that, to have that base of identity that they're standing on and that they're not just moving at the whims of society, the whims of their friend group, being a good friend to their people in their life and making other people happy. They can get in touch with what makes them happy, live by it, and let other people have to deal with it. It's the best way to say it. It feels like the worst thing in the world, probably, to the ENFJ. As well, the ESFJ has this same FE dominance, kind of leading the ship, and that the TI would be uncomfortable growth path for them to do. But it's incredibly valuable for them, for our jumper type, to get in touch with the inner world more, to sit with this more and develop this and let it inform the way that they go out and connect in the world. They're still going to be very in the moment, getting the feedback from people, just being good to people. Encouraging people. This type is just very people aware, and they are just people. They love staying connected with people throughout all their years of life, and they value in the moment experiences with people, good feels, good emotions, and my encouragement is just get in touch with you, bring you forward in the midst of what you do for others, and you'll be that much more just fulfilled and happy, and continue to branch out and experience new things, and take time to develop your own understandings, your own patterns, your own knowings about things, and learn to incorporate that and share that wisdom that comes out of your introverted intuition. Yeah, y'all are an amazing gift to the world. And I really appreciate the ENFJs in my life. I do have a lot of them, actually, the more I look around. That, yeah, they really carry a awesome heart for people, and people really appreciate the friend that they are, and the amount of time they put into bringing people together and keeping people connected. It's really a true gift to community. And there's been ENFJs in society that pushed for change in areas because they saw people were hurting. They saw the needs of people, and they set out to create a new future for them. There's a lot of amazing people we read about in history who led certain movements. They were ENFJs. Yeah, who really saw the potential in other people and brought it out. They were counselors to people. They sought out to heal the world, some people. There's other aspects when you look at the sexual modalities, whether you've got like a double masculine, double feminine, and the ways that these functions kind of work, and what they, what causes they live for. But yeah, ENFJs carry a lot of power of influence, and yeah, really great type. So yeah, I guess that's about it for this video. If you've got value out of this, go and give me a thumbs up. I appreciate the feedback and seeing that the video made an impact on you, or was helpful in some way. And subscribe for future content. I'll continue rolling out more of these overviews on the types and get into the Enneagram. And yeah, if any of these functions are kind of fuzzy to you, I have a cognitive function playlist on the channel. So you can go to the channel, go to playlist and cognitive functions. And there's a video on each of these functions, so you can get a better understanding of really what that is, and then kind of see how it manifests in your type to help you kind of see where you are on the spectrum. If you like personal coaching or help discovering your type, which type you are on the spectrum of types, I'd be happy to help with that. You can go to my website, typologycorner.com. The link is in the description, and you can book a session with me. So yeah. That's about it for this video. Again, thank you for watching. I appreciate your time, and I will see you on the next one. Talk to you guys later.